Stuckey Bridge. This is the story of Lauderdale County Stuckey's Bridge. Legend has it that a member of the Dalton gang, Stuckey, opened an inn near the Chunky River, hoping to appeal to those traveling the river. At night, Stuckey would stand outside with his lantern, guiding travelers directly to his inn. Unfortunately for the unsuspecting guests, the innkeeper had a more sinister plan in store for them. Once everyone turned in for the night, Stuckey would murder his guests, steal their possessions, and then throw their bodies into the Chunky River at the future site of the bridge. Eventually, Stuckey's evil doings were discovered and he was hung from the railing of the bridge. Since Stuckey's death, several witnesses have reported seeing his ghost carrying a lantern along the river. Others have reported seeing his ghost hanging from the bridge, in addition to hearing a very loud splash in the water below the bridge, which is rumored to be the echoes of his body hitting the water after he was cut from the noose. Even more frightening, some locals have experienced up-close encounters with his spirit. According to one resident, the angry apparition pushed him off the bridge. Even though the infamous bridge is now closed off to traffic, it still attracts many visitors hoping to see Stuckey for themselves. The Witch of Yazoo. Located in the middle of the historic section of Glenwood Cemetery, Yazoo City's public cemetery, is a grave surrounded by chain links known as the Witch's Grave. The legend of the Witch of Yazoo became famous in Willie Morris's book, Good Old Boy, published in 1971. This story is an example of the unusual folklore surrounding Yazoo County. Many have pointed out that the grave and the legend were long before Morris was born, and that the chain had been broken for a long time. According to the legend, the old woman lived on the Yazoo River, and was caught torturing fishermen who she lured in off of the river. The sheriff is said to have chased her through the swamps, where she was half drowned in quicksand by the time the sheriff caught up with her. As she was sinking, she swore her revenge on Yazoo City and on the townspeople. In 20 years, I will return and burn this town to the ground. No one thought much of it at the time. Then came May 25th, 1904. The fire of 1904 destroyed over 200 residencies and nearly every business in Yazoo City. 324 buildings in total. Many theories evolved as to how the fire first started, but none were conclusive. The most popular theory is that the fire started in the parlor of a young Miss Wise, who was in preparation for her wedding to be held that day. While this is quite possible and certainly innocent enough, it is strange that the fierce winds that would be blowing on that fateful day, which were unusual for the time, that led many to blame the witch. The flames were said by witnesses to have jumped through the air as if driven by something supernatural. This is one of the eeriest facts of the story. Area weather reports for May 25, 1904 make no mention of high winds in that area. A group of citizens made their way into Glenwood one day after the fire and found the large chain around the grave of the witch broken in two. Today, adults and children alike enjoy taking the tour of the Glenwood Cemetery and hearing the story of the witch, as well as the story of other famous and infamous Yahoosians, led by our costumed storytellers. Many others visit to see the grave by themselves and enjoy the peace and serenity that can be found only in such a historic resting place. like Glenwood. Murkrytus outbreak. If you search for this in the LA Public Library's vast database of newspapers dating all the way back to the 1700s, you won't get a single result. In fact, there really isn't much about it online either. A lot of people think it's a hoax, but many will say that it was very real. It's called Murkrytus, a very frightening disease that supposedly hit southern US during the 1950s and was rumored to be quickly covered up by the government. Because of the government's alleged cover-up, you'll find that most of the stories regarding Murkrytus are taken from friends of friends who had cousins who knew someone affected by the disease's outbreak in the 50s. Murkrytus is widely believed to be caused when a man ingested large amounts of lead, which is deadly, from paint or some other source, which causes him to secrete a type of bile. And that is then released through the skin, acting as a pheromone that make women around him completely hormonal and unreasonable. The first reported incident of Murkrytus occurred in Europe, where a man was chased by a dozen women through his seaside village. The man attempted to evade his pursuers by running into freezing waters. Villagers reported that the female attackers seemingly cared little for their own lives as they chased the man into the water, where everyone, including the man, drowned. In the 1950s, an outbreak allegedly hit a small town in Mississippi, the name of which was promptly covered up. In this town, several men contracted this illness through the ingestion of a near-lethal dose of lead. Shortly after, a large number of women from the town descended into a homicidal rage. They swept through the streets, destroying property, all in a quest to chase down and murder every man that they could find. In the wake of the outbreak, this small Mississippi town was almost devastated. No one would ever know for sure the extent of property damage or how many people died as a result of the riots because, according to rumors, the federal government rushed in soon afterwards in order to hide all the evidence. Unable to find a cure or full explanation, the medical community was also quick to cover up any trace of this outbreak. This supposed event went on to influence the Master of Horror episode, The Screwfly Solution, directed by Joe Dannett. However, if you are looking for solid answers, you need only to find someone who knows someone who had a cousin whose friend was there and saw it all go down. Nash Road. Nash Road, which has come to be known as Three-Legged Lady Road, is located in Columbus. According to local legend, there are several stories associated with this haunted roadway. One version tells of a young girl who was kidnapped, dismembered, and her body parts thrown into the woods that lined the road. According to legend, the girl's mother went searching for her daughter, but was only able to find one of her legs. Completely distraught, the mother carried the leg up and down the road looking for her daughter. Some believe the hauntings can be traced back to an old church that was once located on Nash Road. It has been said that when the church was no longer in use, a satanic cult began using it for human sacrifices. According to several witnesses, motorists that stopped by at the church, turned off their headlights, and honked their horn 3 times would entice the three-legged lady to make an appearance. First, she'd knock on the roof of the car, and then race the driver to the end of the road, hitting the car with her body the entire time. Although the church has since been torn down, locals still report spotting the three-legged lady, with most paranormal activity taking place between 2661 and 4548 Nash Road. Many say the phantom woman will run beside their car, trying to run them off the road. Even creepier, Some have claimed to find dents in their cars following the harrowing ordeal. Witch Dance. Listed on National Register of Historic Places, the Natchez Trace is by far one of Mississippi's most notable attractions. The 444-mile parkway is known for its beautiful sights. However, the historic piece of land has a much darker side. Part of that darker side is the area along the trace known as Witch Dance. Steeped in local legend and lore, Witch Dance is scattered with inexplainable barren spots that have perplexed travelers for years now. The area is thousands of years old and was once a main route for transportation. The historical trail attracted tenders, missionaries, early settlers, and Indians, which in turn attracted criminals hoping to take advantage of unsuspecting travelers along the way. Pirates, bootleggers, scavengers, and gangs were known for wreaking havoc and committing an array of crimes ranging from robbery all the way to murder. The magnet for evil and criminal activity, the trail was nicknamed Devil's Backbone. The stretch of road also attracted evil of different kinds. Located at milepost 233.2, Witch Dance was once the site of nighttime ceremonies held by witches. Prior to the witches' arrival, the land was occupied by two different groups of Indians. Both groups buried their ancestors nearby, a fact that many believe played a role in the areas being selected as a meeting place. Witch Dance earned its name because witches performed their ceremonial dances during their meetings at a secret spot in the woods. According to legend, wherever the witch's feet touched the ground during these dances, the grass would wither and die, never to grow back again. Locals and even travelers avoided these scorched patches at all costs, believing they'd be cursed if they walked on them. The story about the witches spread from one end to the other of town, and many travelers claiming to hear cackling and laughing nearby in the woods. These scorched patches remain there to this day. Although many years have passed since the tales of the witches first began, many still choose to avoid walking on these strange patches. Today, Witch Dance is a bicycle-only campground, perfect for a quick night trip. Tent camping is allowed in specified areas of the campground, which include restrooms, picnic tables, and drinking water. Just be sure to keep your ears open. It's been said by many who have stayed there, chanting and the beating of drums can be heard during a full moon at night. I hope you guys enjoyed these Mississippi urban legends. I honestly knew none of these. I don't know anything about Mississippi except that little thing that teaches you how to spell it, that little song, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, these were interesting. And that sickness seems a little fishy, but also who knows? Government covers up everything anymore, so it wouldn't surprise me that that would be a cover up. I am super excited for October. I really want to do Vlogoween again, aka, when I do a video every day in October. I am just a little scared that I'll miss a day or two, but I will do my best, which means ghouls, send in your stories. My email is in the description and on the end slate as it always is, but I need stories, of course, so I can make a video every single day. So if you want to send in a personal account, just make sure it's kind of long. Not long, but not short either, because I want to do one a day. Just enough so it's 3 to 12 minutes long of reading time. I don't know if you can do that. If you could, that would be great. If not, and I get 2 shorter stories, I'll stick them together in one video. But yeah, as always, ghouls, the last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.